Hi everybody, I'm Linda Keane and today we have Steph Toogood with us. We're going to have a little chat about Steph's career, long career, and what brought her into the aquatic industry. So good morning, Steph.
Hi, Linda. Long time no.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Steph, you've been in the industry and you've been influencing the industry for, well, in my entire career for a long time. But what initially got you involved in being in water and working in water?
Well, I'm not sure I like the long, but we'll go with it, shall we? Really, I don't know. It's something I say to people quite often: right time, right place, or wrong time, wrong place. And our lives we're not always in control of. Always been sporty, always loved moving, always loved everything. Although swimming was not my top priority, and it just evolved and over quite a long period. So kids learned to swim, bored mother sitting there, why don't you help us? Yeah, I'll be happy to do that because I'm bored out of my mind. And
Yeah.
you know what, this is working. I think I might investigate this. So hence the swimming qualifications, which came first. And at that stage, I wasn't that brilliant a swimmer, to be honest, but hey ho, I managed. And then, as time goes on, you've got that qualification and you think, oh, I don't know, some of these other things are quite interesting, and you gradually get qualifications. And then one day, this was my lucky break, somebody went sick at the leisure centre and they gave me a booklet, a little paper booklet, and said, read this, you're going to have to come back tonight and teach the water class. And I'm like, what the heck is that? Now, we're back in the 80s now, bear in mind, and some of the viewers may not even have been around at that time. So it's a while, yeah. But I begin to think how bad it was, but people seem to like it. But that's what I call my epiphany. So I decided this is a route I want to take. Hence, that's the route I took.
Yeah, very, very similar to me, really. I started off with teaching swimming and then, of course, found that the aqua instructor was always late. So very flippantly said, oh, I'll go and do the course. And that's where I sort of, well, that was when I first met you. So again, going back in history, changed my
It's quite.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you have a career before coming into the pool? What did you do originally?
Could I say not really relevant? Now, Linda, I know you so well, how many careers you've had. And when I'm doing now, I quite often think, oh, Linda, the chef would be quite useful here. However, other hat was electrical engineering. I'm afraid at school I was a maths, physics, chemistry person, and my desire was to go into engineering, and that's what I did, electrical engineering. I went to college with the boys in the 60s, back in those days, on the back of a Vespa. I was a mocker. And so really, I have to say, not relevant.
No, I know, but a lot of it's very surprising though when I sort of talk to people and find out that they had a life beforehand and how just diverse and how absolutely no relevance to water or to anything in fitness a lot of people's careers were. So it's an interesting sort of transformation and change, I think, to hear what people's previous lives
I,
were. So,
I think it's really interesting to be able to let go of something and to move on and get as much enjoyment out of that as you did the thing. Because some people just don't seem to want to let go and move on. Whereas, as I say, I know your background quite well. And I know you did various things. But everything has a life, and we have to move with the times, don't we?
absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I think we both had very enjoyable careers. Really enjoyed what we've done. So
Yeah, if you said, would I do it all over again? The answer is yes, I would. I don't think I'd change much at all, except my age. Can I, let's just take a few years off.
yeah, I know that feeling as well. So when you started and you went in and you taught that first aqua course, what was the journey then? How did that progress?
Well, I've said it once and I'm going to have to say it again, right place, right time. Really strange. Lots of strange things were going on then. There is actually a book written by a French guy about the evolution of water exercise. I actually do have a copy and I found it the other day in various countries. It was quite interesting that at that stage, I think the next thing that happened was I had taken the qualification and I'd taken several qualifications in the UK and I'd sort of gone as far as I could. And then I went into work one day and the manager said, would you like to go to America? Because as a company, we've won a prize and it's to go to an aquatic thing in Virginia, it was. And I'm like, yeah, I'm up for that. Yeah, oh, yes, sign me up. So he said, well, you can have it, you know. But he said, you know, go home and make sure that, you know, it's going to work out all right. So I did all that. And it was to see, you're never going to believe it, the mighty Ruth Sover.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and of course I'd read all Ruth's books and what have you, and I was like, oh my God, to go. And it was actually the Aquatic Exercise Association, and that I think was the year that it changed. I think it was about 91, something like that. That was the year that it changed over to Angie and Julie. So it really was, you know, a bit of a pivotal moment. However, a week later, I went into work and the leisure centre was boarded up and they'd gone bankrupt, the company. So the manager said, well, that's not going to happen, Steph, is it? But he said, I tell you what, he said, we're going to be taken over by the council. You're all going to get your jobs back and see if you can work out how we can fund it. And so he very kindly gave me some pool hours on a Saturday evening and my beautiful, lovely ladies all sponsored me. And so the council half funded me, my ladies funded me, and I went out to Virginia. And I not only met Ruth Sover, I met loads of other people. In fact, Pauline Ivans from Hydrofit, I met her, I met Craig Stewart. That was like a pivotal moment. And then I started there for a few years and then became an AA trainer, which was exciting. My goodness, that was exciting to bring that. Okay. And then one year we came back, you're going to laugh at this one. I think you possibly do know sort of part of this story. I came back with a Speedo. Speedo had given everybody, and I think there must have been about 800 people at this convention. It was in Las Vegas. And they gave us a step. Now, you know very well that Virgin, VA, or anybody else wouldn't bring that back these days without charging me. But in those days, I come back with stuff on my shoulders, stuff on my head, you know, I used to bring it all back. And so I rang Speedo and I said, oh, Speedo UK, what are you doing about it? And they said, well, you seem to know more about it than we do. So they sent a manager down to see me teach and they thought, oh, she's tolerable, we'll cope with that, you know. And then about 2 months later, I was on holiday in Wales and they rang me and they said, if you want to come to London in 2 days' time, Mary Sanders is coming over. And she's doing a training. I'm having people in from all over Europe. So Martine was there, Martine Flammen, remember?
Yeah.
Anja Michelson was there from Germany. Josie Pijou was there from France. There was a whole bunch of people, which, you know, are still in the industry, a lot of them. And we went in London. So I said to my husband, do you mind me leaving you here in Wales? Because I need to go to London for a training course. So that's what I did. I went and struck up a very good friendship with Mary, and I worked with her for many a year. Again, right place, right time. Then I did a lot of training with Hydrofit. I have tried to investigate various methods, not to be biased, to try and take the information in from everybody, and also to try and get everybody to work with each other, because that way we become stronger. So, and it's just gone from strength to strength then. And the more times I can cross the pond, the happier I am. And that's probably the worst thing about the situation at the moment. Oh, no planes. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's definitely changed things, and Zoom's changed things a lot as well. And it's very surprising actually how our industry, which is so water-based, is actually surviving at the moment on Zoom. You wouldn't think the two would work, but we seem to be doing. And you were at the Zoom version of the IAFC the other week, which that must be strange as well. But you know, the community can still be there, which is really good.
I have to say that was amazing to see everybody. To actually, the community still was a community, but the people I feel sorry for are people that would be in the pool, the students, the people, especially the ones, because we're not able to help them at that level, are we? That's what's missing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's only at the conferences that people and the instructors really are able to get into the pool, because quite often they don't in their everyday life. They're too busy running from one pool to another or from one discipline to another. They don't actually get in the pools. So I think it's the conferences are absolutely vital for people to sort of feel it and understand it and then get the science behind it as well. Yeah. So through all of the years and all the sort of the changes that have happened, what would you think is one of the biggest changes that's happened in the industry?
That's a very tricky question, because things evolve all the time. And I think that possibly our link with the landlubbers is probably the thing that the landlubbers influence us. Zumba, spin, that type of thing. But I think originally we were isolated, probably slightly closer to swimming, with perhaps a little bit of physiotherapy going in there. And then all of a sudden, we realized quite sensibly that if we didn't take notice of what was going on land, where you've got a much bigger percentage of the population attending, that we wouldn't be taken seriously. And 3 times I've mentioned Zumba, I realized, but that made a lot of people investigate the pool, because that's our main. It's getting people there initially. I mean, sometimes they get as far as looking at the leaflet, then they might even get as far as going to the leisure centre, and they still bottle it, because we're a little bit unique, aren't we? And I think that the thing that is that we now are influenced. The research that is done on land can be very, very relevant to what we do in water. And I think that's probably the thing that's so important, because that keeps us up there with everybody else.
Yeah, I agree. So what, as sort of time's gone on, and again, you've evolved in how you teach and your areas of interest, what would you say is your speciality now? What sort of things give you the most pleasure? But I don't mean it like that. What do you enjoy to teach now?
Oh, that's so funny. What do I enjoy to teach? I enjoy teaching the older people that need to come to the water. I do teach the younger ones, but the youngsters have the ability to do a lot of gravity-based stuff. They have choice. A lot of the ladies that come to our classes rely on water. So what does that give us? That gives us much more class adherence. That gives us much more seriousness. And of course, they don't talk. I mean, my goodness me. I mean, the concentration on those people's faces is amazing. And they don't just come for their bodily issues, they come for their mental issues, for their mind. They come so that they can actually measure the results. Whereas a lot of people that do water exercise in the younger age bracket, and I don't like to generalize, and I'm not putting any numbers on this, but they're only doing it as part of their cross-training. For our people, a lot of them, it isn't cross-training. The only other bit of cross-training is taking the dog out for a wee. In fact, one of my ladies put on Facebook that she tripped over because she tried to avoid her dog's wee, and she's broken her hand and blacked her eye. That just came through just before I spoke to Yeah, so she's one of my regular ladies. So I said to her, well, you don't have to make an excuse to not come to class now. See the evidence. Yeah. So I think that, and I think it's just the whole thing about that. It's a group of people who are a little bit pigeonholed between needing the NHS and paid for physio or similar or any other treatments, and the regular group X. They actually do need to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. Yeah. It just, and it stops them from having to go and get the painkillers, or to go and, you know, to go and get sort of like medication for anything that can prevent people from having to add another pill to their pot every day. So yeah.
And the social aspect, I mean, the social aspect is priceless. You just can't measure it, can you? You just can't. The groups, you know, as soon as we, you know, found we weren't going to be able to carry on, the WhatsApp group is so lively. In fact, because I've got several of them, I'm struggling to keep up. I have to put my excuses on and say, remember, I've got lots of groups to contribute to. But they're all talking to each other, and yeah, it's almost not like work, is it? Can't really call it work, can you? It's, yeah, it's just, it's quite unique, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's lovely. It's an extended family, really.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so so you're saying about that you enjoy teaching that older population in your general classes, your everyday sort of life, but you're still presenting, you're still out there doing your stuff. What sort of things do you like to teach when you're presenting, and what have you got in the pipeline?
Oh, what a trick question that is. I think I've realized how big an issue enjoyment is. When I look at some of my ladies, there isn't much joy in life. So I think that most of the things that I'm looking at now contain an element of joy, an element of fun. Now, when I say that, the good old F word of function has to come in. So it's got to be fun and function. Because in actual fact, it's a bit like, I don't want to call exercise medicine, although a lot of people like to refer to it as medicine. But if you say it's medicine, people might not want it. But if you say it's enjoyable and it's play and it's a sweetie, they'll want it, won't they? So I think that's my goal, to make people want to do it, to enjoy it, and to get more out of it than just doing, you know, the exercise for the exercise sake. So if you're working for a hip, or if you're working for a shoulder or whatever, it's going to be very disguised, you know, because when you look at, I'm looking at the beach at the moment, and I watch children play. And when you watch children play, a sort of 60, 70-year-old wouldn't have a clue how to do those things, because we lose it, we've lost it. And so I think, you know, it's really nice to be able to make people have enjoyment, I suppose. Enjoyment and exercise, fun and function, call them what you like, but yeah, and laugh.
Excellent. So your next presentation is when?
Where are we?
I know when it is. We're presenting at the same thing.
Sorry. I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what time of the day it is, or what month we're in, or anything. Because the weather's so damn good as well. That's
yeah, I know. We couldn't have asked for a better weather for lockdown, could we?
Okay, so the next event now is ATRI, which is really nice, because the AEA Zoom, as you said, proved that it could work. That's what I really, you know, I was like the one who was like, I work in a swimming pool, I work in a leisure centre, I'm a practical applicator. What the hell am I doing with a computer, you know? So I'm quite excited about it now. So yes, it's the ATRI Symposium. Yes.
Symposium, yeah, that's what she's renamed it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm,
So,
I'm quite excited about it as well. I think
Yeah.
it'll be,
I wasn't in the beginning, but I'm getting very excited. Yeah.
yeah, learning new things. We all like to learn new things.
Still rather do new things, Linda.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your favorite piece of equipment out of all equipments out there? What would be your favorite piece?
Can I be boring?
Yeah, I know.
No, it is. You know it is. It's
Yeah.
not hard. It's soft. It's malleable. It's just an extension. The gloves, the mitts. I would not want to do a class without them. I just think that you can do so much with that. You know, the other things are absolutely fine. And I'm not talking about cost here. I'm not talking about portability. I'm not talking about any other factor. I'm just saying I think that you can offer so much with the gloves. Yeah. And in fact, you'll probably notice that because we work in water, Linda, and you'll know this, I don't know how you're keeping your hands still. When my mouth works, my hands move.
Yeah. Oh. I know, they're sort of moving around. Don't worry, they are.
You know, and I love the soft gloves in particular. You know, not the neoprene ones. I prefer the soft ones because you know they just do the job so beautifully. They enhance the workout tremendously.
So would you say the main thing is the enhancing?
Yes, the enhancing and the awareness of the hands. You know, just if you didn't have the gloves on, you wouldn't have so much awareness. Obviously, the proprioception, the feedback that you're getting for the people, but they're not thinking about that. But if they're just pressing their hand forward, if they press it forward with a glove on, they've got something visual there, which makes it, you know, makes them focus more. And as you know, that really can be a problem with the bigger classes, ensuring that they're focused and they're not just in there doing a shopping list or making a Christmas list or wondering when we're going to come out of this mess we're in. Yeah, love the gloves. Love the gloves.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to know the answer to this one. Group exercise or one-to-one?
Oh, Group X. Group X. When I taught swimming, a lot of parents thought that they were doing super extra for their kids by saying to you, will you give them privates? But you know what? We thrive on competition. Whether we're a kid, whether we're an adult, we are competitive. We may not even know that, but much better results with Group X. Love it. Absolutely adore it. Yeah. And when I say that, it doesn't even have to be a big group. So say you've only got 4 or 5 people, that works. You can have 20 people. And then if you work at a leisure centre that likes the higher numbers and you've got the lifeguarding, of course, you know, 40. I mean, I've even seen higher numbers than that. But, you know, ideally not too big, but definitely Group X.
Yeah, I said I knew the answer to that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're probably
do you know, I'm one-to-one for the people that need the one-to-one, and I'm Group X for the, you know, it's like everybody's different, everyone has different needs. And I know that's a cop-out completely, but there's people that need me there to completely guide them.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of, I love both, you know. I'm lucky, I'm privileged, I've got a good balance. So yeah, so the next question I'm going to ask you is, what has been your biggest challenge in your career?
My biggest challenge?
Yeah.
That is such a difficult question. I don't think I've ever thought of that word in the field that I work in. The problem that I have is I enjoy what I do so much that I can't really look at them as challenges. I don't know what the word would be. I suppose there will come the day when I'll have to walk on poolside with a Zimmer frame. But that hasn't happened yet. And I'm not someone that tends to think about things like that. My biggest challenge,
Biggest hurdle, your biggest hurdle to overcome. How about that?
biggest hurdle to overcome. Keeping keeping my opinion to myself when I see things that are not as I would wish they were. That's probably a naughty one, isn't it? No, I mean, you know, there are various things. I mean, you can't put the world right. You can't get everything right. You can just do your best. And I think probably my biggest challenge is that I sometimes get frustrated that people are not seeing what's in front of them. Let's take, for example, somebody working in a swimming pool up to their thighs with older people. You know, my biggest challenge, Linda, is keeping quiet and not saying what I think. So,
Yeah,
sorry, I probably answered that question terribly. You know, other than that, you know, we have to have challenges, like you said about the Zoom. You know, we've accepted that challenge, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, fail.
No, not really. It's, I mean, I don't know what I would say for that either. I'd have to put some thought into that.
That's a bit naughty then, wasn't it?
Well, you know, I like to challenge people. Think about it. So you've, I mean, again, as we said, we've known each other for a long, long time, and been on,
20.
long journeys together. And I think I must have done almost every conference that you held. Only a couple missed. So with those, I mean, I know they were great days and they were great fun, but what would be your biggest, I'm not going to say challenge, even though that's the word I'm thinking of, but I suppose hurdle really. To organise a conference takes a lot. What would you think was the hardest part of putting all of that together?
Putting it all together. Really, I think the hardest part is the thinking initially of what the needs are going to be that far ahead. Because we only ever did one-day conventions or conferences, whatever you want to call them, you have to be selective. And you have to like decide what's going to be the in thing then. Because truly, it's such a fast-moving thing. I mean, when I think of what the things we've been through, the things we've done, the things we've tried, you know, not always do they have longevity. So you don't want to be offering something the following year because the planning does start a year before. So I think the thing is, what I do is I am a bit naughty there. On the evaluations from that current year, one of the questions always is, what would you like to see? And you do get a bit of a feel for where people think they're going. Because the thing about us is we do have to cover everything from like remedial right up to HIT and beyond. And you know, you don't know who's going to sign up for the conference. You don't know which managers are going to want them to come, especially when you're working with the big groups, like, you know, the chains, because they have like specific needs. They might be going through a yoga in the water period or Pilates in the water period, whereas we might be thinking that they want HIT that year. And if we get it wrong, then they're not going to come. So I think the greatest challenge is the programming and how much diversity there is within that program. Because sometimes I think it's a thing to have a theme running throughout the convention. And another time I think, let's do a smorgasbord and do a bit of this, a bit of that, and a bit of the other. So, you know, that's the biggest thing. That's the headache. Once that's decided, whew, I'm on my way.
Yeah. And yeah, I always used to think it was all just so smooth and you just had all that going. So for that to be your hurdle, that's quite surprising. I thought bananas were your hurdle.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great conventions, I have to say. We each year I used to say best one yet, and then the next year I'd say best one yet. Yeah, so
They were fun, good days.
yeah, it's a shame about there not being able to be one this year, but you know, as it happened, it wouldn't have worked out. So you know, it is what it is.
Because as you were saying about the conference and the putting together of it, I did sit there, you know, you were saying about how leisure centres would be sending people if it was the right subject. And I thought, well, everybody's budgets can be cut now. So no idea when the next sort of conferences are going to be able to be afforded, because, you know, people have got to try and recoup the money that they've lost in the 3 months so far. And, you know, companies, I know that with my daughter who's in events, her company has taken back all of the money that they'd put into the events to keep the company afloat. So I think, you know, all these different companies, all these different leisure centres would be putting money aside to train the instructors, to send them on conferences, to send them on workshops and things. That budget probably doesn't exist anymore at all. At least.
And have you this? How many unemployed people will become fitness instructors because they can't? I think we're going to have a completely flooded market very shortly with people that are going to come into the industry, because there always seems to be training courses, you know, available for the individual. And I think we'll get people come in from the unemployed, because it happened before. But well, there you go.
That's it.
That's scary thought.
That's it. Let's go back to a more cheerful note. Let me think. You've got the ATRI, as you said, coming up. I know that I'm seeing on Facebook today that you're doing the Fit Pro Connections, which I think, is that open to the public, that one?
Yes, anyone can click on that link. The thing is, it's done in American West Coast time, and so for us it's 11 o'clock at night. So if the night out, it'll be fine. It's going to be quite interesting. I was quite excited that Janice asked me to do that, because it means that we can find out what's going on properly in other countries, because, you know, a lot of the outdoor pools in America are open. I'm sure you've read that. And so we seem to have a little hiatus at the moment where nothing much is happening with us, and we're all waiting to see what we're told very shortly, hopefully. But I'm quite excited to know from other countries. So yeah, it's on my Facebook, and it's on Fitness Connection, as you say. So I think that'll be quite interesting if anybody can stay up that late.
Well, hopefully they'll record it.
Yes, probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Because I think, I mean, I've been reading different things from different countries as well. But we are very unique over here, and we have a very different system to a lot of other places in the world. And like you know, I was chatting yesterday about this, and I think the design of the building is going to have an effect on, you know, how things are run, how facilities are run. You know, where I am, you go through reception, and you turn left for the pool, and you turn right for the gym and the sports hall. So sort of, the two ends are separated. But a lot of leisure centres, you've got to go through quite a rabbit warren to get anywhere, and through the different sort of disciplines and things. So it's going to be a real logistic nightmare, I think.
Well, the thing I worry about, Linda, is, I don't know if you've thought about it, but for the older generation, where the government are saying, you know, a lot of them have been shielding and what have you, and a lot of those people are going to be the people we teach, it's going to be overcoming the fear factor.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's going to be very difficult for some of those people to come back into society and to not feel vulnerable. That's how I'm concerned about that, because they know they need to do it. They know it's right to get back to it, but they've got to get it right up here, haven't they, to come back.
The other thing that I read was about like the cafes and things. I don't know if you saw that bit. I've just come into my mind, but it's saying that go in, you know, have your swimming lessons, but only one parent, not both. But none of the cafes, you know, you can have sort of the vending machine that needs wiping down after every session, but that they don't want people hanging around the cafes. And, you know, like you're saying, the older generations, the older people, they like to go have their cup of coffee before or afterwards. So there's that social aspect as well, because it might be the only time they get out of their houses and meet their friends. So if cafes aren't going to be able to be open in these centres,
That's part of it.
That's going to be a big problem.
The other issue is some pools, I think it was in America, I heard no showers.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the older people will not be happy to go home, you know, in their car with the towel wrapped around them, will they? So, you know, it's logistically, I wouldn't want this problem to have to work it out myself. You know, I'm just waiting for instructions. I'll turn up. I mean, on this time, I'm here. Yeah, you know, logistically, I can't see the wood for the trees at the moment.
No, I mean, it would be lovely to have a whole massive meeting of sort of 20 people in a very large room, but having the swimming teachers, the coaches, the aqua instructors, if they're, you know, every single discipline that uses a pool, so they can all put their point of view in, because every discipline that uses a pool has different needs and different requirements. I think that they need everybody, not just one of the centre managers having a meeting and a conference or whatever. They need the people that are there on the ground floor.
I tell you another funny. They said instructors should teach with a mask. Oh my God, that's going to be tricky.
Yeah. It'll probably last about 10 seconds and then they'll go, let's go in.
I do have a pink one, evidently.
Do you? Actually, I've got I've got a white one with pink hearts on it that my stepmother made me, so with the HEPA filter. So yeah, that's good. Okay, so let's ask you another very, very loaded question. If you retire, what would you want to be remembered for?
Two things. One, moving with the times, because I do think that that's the only way to survive. How, you know, when I realized that, you know, you had to take more notice of land stuff, I did. And when different, you know, modalities come in, I've like investigated them to see what we can do, you know, using the water. And secondly, and I hope this doesn't come over wrong, but maybe having a body that's managed to keep going without too many problems. Yeah. You know, I haven't had any problems, but, you know, I have managed to keep going, and so people can say, well, it works for her, so maybe it will work for me. I don't know if that's the sort of answer you were expecting, but, you know, there's those two things that, you know, I think are relevant, shall we say.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, you definitely have been a big influence in my career, and I think
wouldn't have been without you.
Oh, thank you. And you know, you've definitely been I think the biggest mover and shaker in the aquatic industry in the UK. So, you know, you pulled it kicking and screaming into the 21st century. So.
Again, let me say that maybe that was right place, right time. You know, somebody had to sort of do it. And so maybe I was the lucky one that was. And also, can I perhaps say on that, I was self-employed and had my own company. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there that work for organizations, Linda, that would have made some big changes and what have you, but they can't because of the constraints of the company. And everything takes so long when you belong. You know, you've got to get it through this committee and that committee and the other committee. Well, I didn't have a committee. I was the committee.
Yeah.
So,
no, absolutely. And you know, And I think the support around you as well, because you know James has been a fantastic support to you and encouraged you in everything you've done as well. So I think that's quite a big bonus as well.
I think you're probably talking about Keep Flying to America. Yeah, got to the stage where he knew that I was probably happier when I spent a lot of time over there. So yeah, he came in pretty quickly and supported it because he could see that he wasn't going to win on that one, was he?
Oh, poor James. But no, it's
book, so you know, so you can still peel a banana, tip cereal out, and make toast.
That's the main thing. No, it's been a sort of like a sort of an amazing journey through the whole right from the Jane Fonda days. You know, that was a whole different industry then, right up to now where it's a much more professional industry. And I honestly believe that you're sort of a lot to do with how it has been shaped. And you've sat on a lot of committees and you've banged a lot of drums through your career. And so that I think, you know, the career owes you a massive debt. So I think you'll be remembered for a lot more than you said that you wanted to be remembered for. So,
oh, you are funny. Writing, by the way. All these debates, yeah. No, thanks, Linda. No, it's been fun. And, you know, as I said, you know, I couldn't have done it without you. You were with me a very long time. And we must have spent many, many hours discussing a subject. We would make that phone and we would start on one thing and then we would move on to another. And, you know, on the basis that two heads were always better than one, I think we did make quite a few things evolve together. I have to say that.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it was good. Good, definitely. So at that point, I think I've got no more questions to add. I don't know whether you have anything that you wish to add. I think we've definitely sort of like discussed a whole variety of topics within one little one of working in the world of aquatics. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this as well, like the old times.
Okay, Linda, thanks for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. I hope people find it interesting. Everyone's story is very unique. But I have one, you know, maybe I'll tell you one thing that I do regret. I wished I'd kept a journal, because half the things that have happened during my life, during this journey, people would not believe.
Yeah, I remember some of those occasions.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, you know, that's my one thing that I would have done differently, is kept the journal. Yeah. But it would have been fun as well.
Yeah, yeah. I know all the times I used to hear you say, I'll put that in the book.
Yeah, I think I could probably remember an awful lot of it, you know, the scarring probably.
Yeah, could be. So, okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Steph. And well, if I don't sort of like catch up with you at the FitPro conference because I'll be asleep, then I'm sure we'll meet again at the ATRI Symposium, which will be in June, I think June the 23rd. And actually people can join that. So it'll be, oh, blimey, now I can't remember. Is it 5 days we're doing?
Is it as many as that? Oh, I'm looking, not everybody else, is it?
So it is, anyway, it starts June the 23rd. People can sort of like sign up for it. They can sign up with the atri.org if they're interested. It's sort of pretty much everything therapy and wellness. So you'll have to find Steph and myself there if you're interested in that. But other than that, take care and stay well, Steph, and look forward to seeing you on screen again soon.
Thanks, Linda.
Okay,
bye.